All right. Newly released records from special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into Donald Trump suggest prosecutors believed they had identified a possible reason for why the president kept troves of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago club after leaving office. In a progress memo reviewed by MS Now, investigators write, quote, Trump possessed classified documents pertinent to his business interests, establishing a motive for retaining them, adding we must have those documents.
People, welcome and greetings. Adam is present. So, guys, what took place just now? The man who wrote a single document that just leaked from the DOJ is the one that Trump tried to destroy for years. The entire landscape is altered by a single sheet of paper. It appears that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor who pervaded Trump's nightmares through two distinct criminal investigations, decided before he resigned that he was not going to let the truth languish in some sealed filing cabinet. He didn't write a brief summary or a cursory overview to meet a bureaucratic requirement. He wrote a memo. He wrote a lengthy, in-depth, and replete with evidence document outlining the specific ways in which Donald Trump knowingly and purposely obstructed federal investigators' attempts to recover classified national security materials from Mar-a-Lago.
Well, you know, one of the biggest mysteries, Mika, I mean, for most of us serious fact-based journalists was like, what is the reason Donald Trump engaged in something that was so incredibly risky and put him at huge criminal exposure, taking hundreds and hundreds of pages of classified documents, some of them so top secret, so restricted that only the president could authorize people to review them. Why did he take these things from the White House in January 2021 as he left office and Biden assumed control of the presidency? And now we know from this January 2023 memo that appears to have been accidentally released by the Department of Justice under Donald Trump. Now we know this memo shows Jack Smith's team was working with the FBI, reviewing this as a possible motive and finding that he, Donald Trump, kept all these documents that pertained to his global business interests.
And now that memo is out there, it's spreading like wildfire through newsrooms, legal circles, and congressional offices, and no one can stop looking at it. Let me explain why the situation is distinct from all previous scandals and leaks. This is not the whispering of anonymous sources to reporters. This is not speculative speculation regarding what may have transpired behind closed doors. This is the prosecutor in charge. The man who sat down and wrote down exactly what he found after reviewing every piece of evidence, interviewing every witness, and seeing the complete picture that no one else was allowed to see. In addition, the excerpts, which has since been confirmed by a number of media outlets, indicate that what he discovered is beyond devastating. In a recent interview, Jack Smith said something that ought to make every American stop in their tracks. We had a lot of evidence of willfulness, a lot of evidence, he stated.
Nearly 30 years of public service, including in international settings, I have seen how the rule of law can erode. My fear is that we have seen the rule of law function in our country for so long that many of us have come to take it for granted. The rule of law is not self-executing. It depends on our collective commitment to apply it. It requires dedicated service on behalf of others, especially when that service is difficult and comes with costs. Our willingness to pay those costs is what tests and defines our commitment to the rule of law and to this wonderful country.
There are a lot of ambiguous situations and documents that could be interpreted in a variety of ways. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that Trump was aware that what he was doing was wrong, but chose to carry out anyway. The mental state that distinguishes an unintentional error from a deliberate act is referred to as willfulness in legal and artistic contexts. Smith also asserts that they had overwhelming evidence to support their claim. Given Trump's current legal situation, you might be wondering why any of this is important now. He currently serves as president. It has been the policy of the Department of Justice for a very long time not to prosecute a sitting chief executive. Smith resigned shortly after Trump took office due to the policy's lack of a direction for him. The criminal cases have ended, at least for the time that Trump is in office. So what is the significance of a memo? The response is that it affects everyone on the planet, because the events that are taking place right now have nothing to do with arresting anyone. In the long run, it could be of even greater significance. It all boils down to whether or not the American people know what their president did. It is a matter of whether the perpetrator of a crime is powerful enough to avoid prosecution, or whether evidence of potential crimes is buried forever. It's a question of whether Congress can still act as a check on executive power when the executive decides not to. And perhaps most importantly, it concerns the historical record, the permanent record of these years' events that will be read by subsequent generations. Anyone who believes that the timing of this leak is coincidental hasn't been paying attention to how Washington works. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan issued a subpoena requiring Jack Smith to testify before Congress about alleged prosecutorial misconduct just a few days prior to the publication of this memo. Jordan has been making the case for months that Smith's investigation as a whole was a partisan witch hunt, that the Justice Department used Trump as a weapon, and that the whole thing was political persecution disguised as legal. This memo then appears just as Jordan was getting ready to bring Smith into the spotlight and portray him as a dishonest agent, a document that not only defends Smith's investigation, but also puts an end to the attack before it even begins. It is impossible to dismiss this memo due to its contents. This is not a hazy narrative about Trump's general attitude toward the investigation, as reported. It contains actual logs of conversations, and direct quotes from the former president. Additionally, Trump allegedly told his staff that federal investigators would never get those documents back unless I say so, which is the most damaging quote that has already been etched into history. Consider the repercussions of that sentence.